one of the big things, let's see, hold on, is, of course, the Arizona recount, man. And it is just Real America's Voice on the, what channel is this? Who are these folks? JustTheNews.com. How many right-wing news sources are there where people are just dumping money into, I mean, good on you. I mean, bifurcate your funds as much as possible. Spread that butter as thin as you fucking can. But hi, by the way, there's no truth to the rumor that Karen LaKaren is based on her. None whatsoever. Just saying. So Sophie Man, host of The Water Cooler, because there's lead in the water. I don't know. Because this is the thing everybody's going to be talking about, guys. And host of Just the News AM. So she's basically on this network all day long. But we need to hear what's going on in Arizona, because there's some amazing news coming out of there, no doubt. Oh, rock and roll thing in the swamp. The conversation Trump is looking down on Biden.
And welcome back to the Water.
Yeah, that's not David Brody, I'm guessing.
Water Cooler, everyone. Late last week, Attorney General Merrick Garland attempted to get out in front of the curve of the audit currently taking place in Maricopa County, Arizona, saying that the Department of Justice
out in front of the curve. All right.
Will, in short order, be releasing guidelines for how to properly conduct an audit. In addition to a number of other guidelines pertaining to the election integrity efforts we've seen pick up significant steam across the country since last fall's election.
Yeah, no, they haven't picked up steam. This is the same fart air going on. It's basically like a carnival show. It's like the carnies pack up and move to the next state fair, and it's the same rusty Ferris wheel.
Let's quickly take a look at what the AG had to say.
We will apply the same scrutiny to post-election audits to ensure they abide by federal statutory requirements to protect election records and avoid the intimidation of voters.
Right, which is the entire purpose of the audit in Arizona right now, so that they know, they get a list of voters who voted for Biden, and they can go knock on their doors and go, better watch yourself.
In that regard, we will publish guidance explaining the civil and criminal statutes that apply to post-election audits. And we will likewise publish guidance with respect to early voting and voting by mail.
I'm pleased this afternoon to welcome to the program someone who's undeniably at the fore of the election integrity efforts taking place.
Well, I might have to deny it. I will take your word for it that she is undeniably at the fore
right now in America, and more specifically, the Arizona audit. Chairwoman of the Arizona GOP, Dr. Kelly Ward. Dr. Ward, good afternoon. How are you?
Hey, thanks for having me. Yeah, I mean, just listening to that.
I'm just here outside the bushes.
Has he actually read the Constitution? Because
no, probably not. I mean, I think there's a rule against the AG doing it so that they don't, if they get in trouble, they don't, putting a law forward. They don't want to get hung up on the constitutionality of it.
Elections are the purview of the state.
No, they're not. No, they aren't. How to carry them out is materially, as far as state elections are mandated. There's some wiggle room there, but you still have to present, electoral votes. You participate in a federal election. There's baseline standards. You can't use dartboards. You can't have, like if a state wanted to do a poll tax, for example, that would be illegal. No matter how much the state wanted it, no matter how racist you wanted that state to be. And luckily for you and the sleeping host, there are no literacy tests anymore, because both of you would probably get hung up around the fourth answer and not be allowed into the booth.
The state government and the localities, the federal government really has nothing to do with everything that he mentioned in his press.
Yeah, except for that whole thing about guaranteeing the right to vote. So if what the state does is deny someone the right to vote, then they are in violation of federal standards. That does not, if you violate their constitutional rights, then they absolutely have a say. And if you have a state that is trying to do that, then the Fed absolutely has a part to play in it. She's the head of the Arizona GOP. I don't think she's ever read the Constitution, though.
Press conference where he was trying to continue the fear that the left wants to instill in people and do everything that he can as a radical leftist Democrat to stop these audits. These audits will go forward because we have to have election integrity in our country. And I'm proud that Arizona is the tip of the spear.
Well, so talk to us a little bit about how you interpreted what he just said, because I mean,
because obviously we heard what he said, but you clearly have shit in your ears. What is this?
Not specifically call out Maricopa, but this is, of course, where the biggest audit is going on. You know, several people who we know and are friendly with have been down there over the past couple of weeks telling us just.
Well, yeah, because you're a pro-Trump organization, and now that he's not in office, you're kind of on the hook for being like, these guys are under OAN, right?
Exactly what's going on the floor.
I think that's the pecking order, right? Fox, huge drop-off. Newsmax, huge drop-off. OAN, nearly off the charts. Real America's Voice, something, just the news TV.
How remarkable it all looks. Are you reading this at all as a threat from the DOJ, saying, hold your ground here? We may not let this go ahead if the results are something we don't like.
Or if you spend quiet time with the machines and fuck with them, and now the state has to throw them out, and you're costing the state $28 million. That might be somewhere where the federal government might have a say, because you're trying to deny the ability to vote of a good portion of the state of Arizona.
Well, initially, the Civil Rights Division sent a letter to Senate President Karen Fann talking about voter intimidation and storage of records, basically storage of ballots. She dispelled the myth that the left was trying to create.
Thanks,
the ballots
Dennis.
have been secure. They've been under 24-hour-a-day armed guard while they
by partisans who are hired without any background check by the organization that is conducting the audit. I'm sure these mercenaries are completely trustworthy.
They've been in the possession of the Arizona State Senate.
Are they state troopers? Are they people who've sworn an oath to the people of Arizona? No, they're not, are they? They're private security guards hired by the organization.
And there has been absolutely no intimidation of any voter, no matter what color.
Well, not yet. That's what you're doing, is you're accumulating lists. The idea is that there would be an intimidation of the voters in 2022 and 2024.
They are or what their socioeconomic status is. Voters across the board, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, want to be assured that the votes that they cast are counted in the way that they cast them. Merrick Garland
Yeah, that's not a problem. The problem you have is that because of Donald Trump and people like you, Republicans don't want to vote anymore. And so you guys have to put on this giant charade saying, we fixed it, we looked, everything's fine, we should have won, but it was, we did what we could, but we've got new rules in place that will protect your vote. Please get off your ass and go vote for Republicans next time around, because everybody we ask that follows this woman or anybody else isn't going to show up next time. And they're shitting their pants about what Congress will look like if nobody votes. This is all performance.
Interfering in a state issue is unconstitutional, and I'm
No, it isn't. It's a federal election.
thankful for our Attorney General, Mark Brnovich, who sent a letter basically telling Merrick Garland and the DOJ to butt out.
Well, I'm sure you're happy about that, because it's exactly the kind of thing that was said when black people were not allowed to vote during the civil rights era, and they legally had the right to, but they were denied the ability to, and it was unsafe for them. And so they're like, well, fuck off. We don't want to let them vote. And obviously the federal government had a part to play in fixing that, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense, and it continues to be interesting to watch the interplay between state governments and the federal government on this issue. But let's talk
About federal elections, you mean?
talk about the other states for just a moment. I mean, over the past, especially week, we've seen delegations from several other states whose election night results have been relatively contested, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania.
Relatively.
Of course, Nevada, numbering among them, come stop by the Maricopa County audit, potentially looking for sort of how-tos in terms of getting their own.
Yes, it'll be great. Please take all the cues from those folks. Hire cyber ninjas for all of these recounts. I highly recommend it. This is, what more could you ask for? These are professionals, and everything they do is completely trustworthy. And I would give them my money. All right.
Their own audits off the ground. What are you seeing on that front? What are you hearing from sort of your fellow Republicans in other states in terms of audits that they want to kick off?
Well, it has been amazing to see these other states come
So
to
exciting.
Arizona to see the.
Well, none of the other states are coming. Right-wing Trumpistan delegates are coming from those places to try and drum up this kind of stuff so that they can wag their Trump bona fides in the face of the voters next time around, because they think that's a voting bloc that will guarantee them an election. And so they're going down there to show everybody just how they can kiss Trump's ring, even though they're not the level of people that he would even invite down to Mar-a-Lago. This is the next best thing.
Logistics, to see the professionalism, to see the efficiency, to see the effectiveness of this very.
We're seeing Les Parnas again, metadata and tapes uncovered. Very exciting, Mary.
Professionally run audit that's being done by experts in the field, experts in cybersecurity, experts in auditing, experts in evaluation of.
And of which Cyber Ninjas is none of the above.
Ballot. And so we have nearly a third of the country who has visited Arizona over the last few weeks.
No, they haven't. A third of the country has not visited Arizona over the last few weeks. A third of a third of a third of electoral voters or politically posturing state reps or, Trump suck-ups have flown to Arizona to get a look at it, to try and gin up support for themselves in their home state with right-wingers. That's not, the state didn't, a third of Pennsylvania did not come to Arizona to go, oh, this is fascinating. What's really going on here?
Week to see the audit in action. Now, we know that the hand counting has been completed, I believe yesterday. They now are concentrating on ballot authenticity and
Yeah, apparently the hard part, look at her face right now. When things have, this is where the news is starting to show up. She was super smiling at the beginning of this because she's very excited to be there, but now you're starting to see the droop during the freeze frames. Instead of, you're getting a little of this, and the reason is because she knows the count is done and it matches and there's nothing there.
Legitimacy. Evaluating the paper, evaluating the.
A lot more blinking, a lot more looking down.
Lineup and evaluating the filling in of the ovals to see if they were done by human hands or perhaps in some other way.
And some other way, aliens, probably aliens. You mean Chinese people aren't humans? Is that what you're saying? They were mailed in, they were flown into Maricopa County. We're going to find out. You better watch now. Come on, y'all.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it is, of course, a multi-step process, and that is why.
Yeah, it totally is. It's absolutely a multi-step process. First, you have to count the ballots and then go, oh, fuck, they match up with the actual count. There's no digital thing where it was off. Mike Lindell is a fucking moron. Well, maybe these are fake. These aren't folded. Yeah, those are the early votes. We use the same ones for the early votes that we use for the mail-in votes. So when people came in person, yeah, well, it says this person's vote was mailed out and returned on the same day. That's because we use the same checklist, just like Wisconsin does and Michigan does, that when you come in and you go, I want to vote early, they find the thing, they go, okay, you're crossed off the mail out list. That means here's your ballot, and you can return it later or you can return it right now. Okay, I gave it to you. That's your mail out ballot technically, because it's not the one that goes in the regular machines on the day, and then you fill that out and you walk it back to me, and then, oh my God, it was mailed out and returned in the same day. Like, that's, God damn, this is dumb.
That's why we were all waiting patiently.
Yeah, keep waiting. I'm looking forward to August and September. Can you imagine what these assholes are going to sound like during the first Biden Christmas in the White House? Fuck, all the cute videos that Biden and Jill are going to be putting out on, for the public, and like, hey, I want to wish you a Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah and Happy Kwanzaa, and all this, like, the wailing and gnashing of teeth from Greg Kelly when they wish people a Happy Kwanzaa.
with bated breath. So, Dr. Ward, talk to us a little bit.
Yeah, keep baiting your breath.
About how you think sort of the mainstream media and everyday Americans are interpreting the audit that's currently going on. Because frankly, I mean, it seems that the way the mainstream media has treated this audit is sort of like a joke. They're writing it off entirely.
Well, no, not sort of as a joke, as an absolute joke. And this is really rough. This is a Steve Bannon moment, because you're calling this woman a joke to her face. And I mean, she worked far too hard coordinating her outfit, and the one earpiece for that.
Entirely, even certain voices within the Republican Party itself. I mean, of course, Liz Cheney being one of them, has said that this audit is not quite legitimate and isn't something that should be taken
Not quite
seriously. And I do wonder how that is impacting everyday Americans on the ground who are curious about what's going on.
Well, I would say that anything that comes out of Liz Cheney...
Breaking news, New York Times, Trump CFO could face charges this summer. Yes, we know that. Alan Weisselberg, they are using his, somebody just super chatted in there, Georgina Poole, that according to the New York Times, Trump's CFO, Alan Weisselberg, could face charges this summer. We know that this is basically, they're just gaming the timeline as far as when they expect it to happen. I'm not holding my breath either, but I do know they're pressuring him on Barry Weisselberg, his son, and the illegality of the apartment that apparently Trump gave him to live in that they never counted on their taxes and stuff. Relatively minor, but could be jail time because of the expense of New York real estate in general. So they might be using that to get him to flip. This story, I would argue, and let me see if I can bring it up just for fun. Hold on real quick. Let's see. Let me go up to the New York Times. My guess is, and this is a side note, there we go. There we go. The more than likely, let's see. I'm going to have to dig through this Trump press. I'll scroll through it later, but Weisselberg's issue is this story, the New York Times story, in a lot of ways, and the idea maybe from the prosecutor's office that Trump could actually, that Weisselberg will face charges, is really there to sweat Trump a little bit. Just so you know.
His mouth about this audit should be considered illegitimate. She has no idea what she's talking about.
Well, neither do you. I mean, as far as I know, you're a woman in a shrub.
Barely has an idea what she's talking about when she's talking about being a Republican.
Oh, are we got it?
Yeah, you got her back. Don't worry. She froze a little bit, but you didn't miss anything.
Seems like we may have lost Dr. Ward for just a moment, but yes.
She might have been snatched in the bushes by Homer Simpson.
I mean, I'm hearing she's back, Dr. Ward. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, the mainstream media is the lapdog of the left. Yeah,
I mean, it's amazing. The Democrats can't do anything right, but apparently control the media, big tech, industries, the entire world government, and the U.S. government in all three iterations. And even in many ways control the Supreme Court, even though it's got a conservative side because Roberts is really under the thumb of Democrats. I mean, I don't know what the left is complaining about if the Democrats are this all-powerful.
They repeat talking points that are untrue. Because they are seeking to undermine the legitimacy of this audit. Everyone from our secretary...
Well, no, they don't have to. They're calling out the illegitimacy of it. That's not undermining it. If you were undermining the legitimacy of it, you'd have to go down there, steal some boxes of ballots, fix them, put them back. You'd have to, I guess, operate some sort of compromise on the people running cyber ninjas. You'd have to actively be involved in this instead of calling bullshit on your assertions that are bullshit. They don't. It is not the job of critics to undermine, or evaluate your claims until you put forward legitimate signs that there was massive manipulation, enough to change the election, and that manipulation benefited Donald Trump, which no one has yet to assert in any material form. Again, if illegals, and this is quoting their folks, if illegals and dead people voted, then prove to me they didn't vote for Trump.
Secretary of State to Merrick.
And he just lost because all the live people still kicked his, like all the Democrats still showed up in huge numbers.
Garland are trying to undermine the results, and the media is playing right along. Thank goodness for people like you and others who are reporting the truth.
Yeah, thanks for everybody at the water cooler. These kind of graphic packages, and that kind of, I apologize to Fiverr again.
Right. I mean, it does seem, several numbers being added up here that the media and now the Justice Department, and as you said, the Secretary of State, are all reading this in the exact same way.
It's almost as if they've looked at you and her and everything that's being said about this and come to the same conclusion that it's a bunch of flailing bullshit. Could be that. Just saying.
Disconcerting, I think, in terms of what
It's amazing about the message unity around all the people who think I'm full of shit.
Other lawmakers in other states are now going ahead and attempting to do. Dr. Ward, I would be remiss not to ask you, I know that we ask you all the time, and other lawmakers in Arizona, to give us a timeline update on this.
She's not a lawmaker in Arizona, by the way. She's just the head of the Arizona GOP. She's not actually an elected official.
Audit. When do you think we're going to be having the results that we are?
Yeah, when are they? I don't know. Oh my God, when are we gonna? Well, we'll see.
So itching to receive.
Right. Well, last week I had a briefing.
And she's frozen again.
Once again, it seems our connection is a little bit faulty today, not to...
Yeah, right when she was going to give the big answer, too.
Here,
Bring her back.
Dr. Ward will be back at some point to update us on the audit results. It seems that they must be getting some pieces of information that they...
Yeah, you know what happened was so much information was coming in, it just ate up the bandwidth. Because I think what happened was her feed on Skype went all the way up to the satellite, was bounced through Italy. All the bits were recalculated over there and then sent back. And I'm not even sure that's Dr. Kelly Ward. I don't even know who that is.
They are finding to be hopeful in one direction or the other. Otherwise, you wouldn't count on all of these different state delegations streaming in to see what's going on. I think she was about...
Well, they're not streaming in. There's random Trumpistan crowd desperately wanting it to be right because they look like jackasses going over there and going, they need a big aha or I told you so to dig them out of this hole they're in before the election cycle for 2022 starts. That's what this is.
Was about to say that she...
Yes, her packets got captured.
Sat through a meeting recently where they were discussing timelines. What we've been hearing from our own Real America's Voice correspondent, Drew Hernandez, who's been on the ground over there for the past...
Somebody picked him up?
Couple of weeks, is that they're looking at, again, so they finished counting ballots. Now they go to the real forensic part.
Yeah, they've counted them, and they're all there, and they all match up, even though supposedly the counting machines, the digital versions, somehow don't match with the paper versions. But then there might have been a flight of Chinese paper with bamboo in it that was dropped off. So now they've got to see if the digital count matches up again. Or you got to see if the paper's even real. Do we even know? I mean, does it look like paper?
We might be looking at a late August, early September wrap date.
Yeah, something like that. So yeah, around then, right about the time when I think it's like 4 days after everybody has stopped giving a fuck entirely.
So they will begin to sort of begin feeding us results just as fall kind of nips its head around the corner. And
yeah, you know, that old chestnut. When fall nips its head around the corner, maybe I just didn't read the same books they read growing up. Maybe that's what it is.
And I mean,
they're gonna find that's what's gonna happen, Lolima. Like, I wish I could sneak down to the Arizona audit with like the chopsticks you get from a Chinese restaurant and just hide them in some of the boxes and watch these fuckers go, aha! You know, what are those? Those are sticks those Chinese people eat with, man. They dropped them in the box. They were here the whole time. Shazam!
I mean, I assume that will head right into 2022 when once again.
Yeah, totally. When fall nips its head around the bend, and it'll head right into 2022.
Again, the House will be up for re-election, and we may start this game all over again. Well, I guess.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? I mean, it works so well. You're selling water cooler merch like hand over fist.
As I said, check back in with
I wonder
Dr.
if,
Ward.
I keep wondering if they got a different result from what's known to be true. Can we put them in jail 5 years for tampering and fraud? Lulu girl, that's a good question. The problem we have is that they'll claim, well, we were just looking. We were just asking the questions. That's how they run this whole thing. I'm not saying that, I'm not asserting that a cabal of pedivores are, drinking baby spinal fluid to stay alive forever, even though they oddly seem to age faster than other people. I don't know why that would be. And I support Donald Trump, who would of course drink adrenochrome by the gallon if it did what it says on the tin. But I was just asking. I wasn't saying.
Later, but in the meantime, we have to take a quick break.
Yeah, you do. Take a quick one. Come back though, please, sometime. I'm super excited.